What's up? What's up? It's your girl Carissa here, and welcome to my kitchen. And today we are putting together a very healthy, clean, nutrient-dense family meal. So I love fall for so many reasons, but I don't really like winter. But what comes with winter and fall? Soup. I love soup. So I can actually honestly eat soup all year round. As long as I wasn't like outside in 100-degree weather, I could eat soup inside all day long. And this is a recipe that I've pretty much taken the bones of the recipe and made it a little healthier. Right? This is a recipe that my mom used to cook for me, but instead of, using rice or noodles, she would use egg noodles. And those are really, I mean, they're not bad for you. Again, there's no bad food, but egg noodles are very heavy. They're made a lot of egg and flour and things that I just choose not to eat anymore with my gluten and my egg allergy. So I love taking recipes completely like the ones, that mom used to make us. I love taking recipes and making them healthier, making them doable for me and my family. So what I'm going to prepare for you today in very quick time is a homemade chicken and rice soup. It's low carb because we're not adding the rice to the pot. We're going to add it to our individual bowls, which allows you to really portion out what exactly you want. So in case you're following macros or certain calorie counting, which I wouldn't advise because I'm not a fan of calorie counting, but macros I am, right? So let me just tell you what I've done so far. So this morning, right before I took my daughter to school, I put a whole rotisserie chicken in the oven. Okay. I put the chicken, I rinsed it off, I patted it dry, I put it in my Dutch oven. Okay. And I put a little bit of chicken broth in the bottom. And then I sprinkled it with some seasonings, predominantly a lot of garlic salt because I love garlic salt. But I also added a bay leaf. Okay. So voila, it is 2 o'clock. Chicken is done. It's been sitting out in the Dutch oven for about an hour and a half. I told my son, I said, take it out at this time because I'll be on a coaching call. So sure enough, he took it out and the chicken is done and just falling off the bone. And it took me about 3 minutes okay, that's a lie. It took me about 5 minutes, which still isn't very much time, to shred an entire chicken. So that is what I just got done doing. Okay. So along with that shredded chicken, we have a little bit of the chicken broth that was obviously in there from when the chicken baked, but we're going to take that out here for a minute. And I love making soup, especially in one pot, because then I'm not dirtying up a whole bunch of stuff, which is also a perk. When I stopped making chicken noodle soup with egg noodles or even just noodles in general, I didn't have to get another pot and like make the noodles and then add it to my soup. So we're just going to turn on the stove. I put it on high. What we are going to do is we're going to get ready to saute up our veggies. Now you can add any veggies you like. You could add some green beans to this. I personally wouldn't add corn. Corn's one of those veggies that's like, it's not super nutritional for you. And actually you can't even digest it, which is why you see it in the bathroom when you're done eating corn on the cob in the summertime. But what I do love, like the basics of all chicken noodle soups, onion, celery, and carrots, right? So last night while I was cooking my chicken marsala, I went ahead, the cutting board was already out. I just pulled my 3 or 4 ingredients out. I'm also adding some broccoli because I love broccoli. Broccoli is very nutrient dense, which is good for us. And it's a healthy carb. And like, I love broccoli and my whole family loves broccoli. So what we're going to do is we're going to get this nice and hot. Now, if you don't have a Dutch oven, no worries, no problem at all. I picked this up when I was stationed in Germany. I freaking love Dutch ovens. I actually have 2 now. But I am going to take my butter, real butter. I'm not talking country crock. Okay, that's processed. We want real butter. Okay, so I'm going to take about 1.5 tablespoons. I'm going to put it in the Dutch oven. It's going to get nice and hot and melty. Okay. So if you were not fully prepared like I was and you didn't have the extra time, today, like this literally maybe took me 10 minutes to chop all my veggies up. This is a great project for anyone who, like your kids who are able to use knives, okay? So my daughter's been using a knife with supervision, of course, and she was about 8 years old. Now I don't even have to worry about her because she's been cooking with me in the kitchen. All right, nice and hot. I'm gonna add my veggies to the pot. Here we go. All right. Oh my gosh. I've got to take you off of this and let you see what's going on. Okay. All right. So in the meantime, okay, while this is sauteing, you could be chopping this up. So again, you're not wasting time. You're not going to go and put a load of laundry in. You're not going to go and sit on the couch and mindlessly scroll through social media. You know, you may want to, but you could use this time to get a little ahead. Okay. So I'm not all going to use all of this because, hey, tomorrow night we want chicken quesadillas. So I'm going to take out my chicken right now and put it in the exact container that my veggies were in. No harm done. And I'm going to take out about what I think I'm going to need for everyone to have enough chicken for tomorrow's chicken quesadillas. Okay. All right. Lid goes back on that. That can now go in the fridge and it's all ready. The protein's all ready for tomorrow night's dinner. So you can imagine putting chicken quesadillas together is not going to take me very long at all. And on a Friday night, nobody wants to be stuck in the kitchen. Okay, so what else do I have on the counter while this is sauteing up? So we're just gonna the idea behind this is just to get it sweated down a little bit. It's going, your onions are gonna start to become translucent. Your broccoli is going to become, softer. We're not looking for doneness here because that's the beautiful part about soups, right? You put it all in together and then it all comes together so beautifully after it's been sitting on the stove, heating all day. I get to smell it all day. My son actually is like, is that chicken ready? Can I eat some? I'm like, no, don't eat my chicken. Okay, here we go. That's wet now. What we are going to want is chicken broth. Now you could use bone broth, or you could just use straight up chicken broth. The store the other day was out of bone broth. I like bone broth. It tastes the same and it's more nutrient dense, but hey, you know what? You got to work with what you got. So I've got chicken broth. I've got 2 containers, okay? And you can always add more, but you guys, this is probably good. I also have some cubes of chicken bouillon. If you've been following me, you know I don't really measure anything, so I'm sorry. I just kind of go with what my heart says. That's how I learned to cook as a child, and that's still how I cook today. So I've got a chicken bouillon cube, and then, of course, I've got my bay leaves, okay? So because I love garlic salt, I am going to season up my veggies. Instead of adding salt, we do want to add some cracked black pepper, but I'm just going to add the garlic salt right away. All right, so this is sweating down, looking fabulous. Now, I love making this soup because, I can add in the rice when I want it. I can watch the portions. I could pretty much make this up in about 30 minutes on a Sunday, let it sit. We could eat it for dinner. And then as long as I planned ahead and had lots of chicken and lots of veggies, I could food prep this, right? So you can just scoop it all into 7 or 5 or 6 little bowls and take it to work with you, pair it with a salad, and so good, so good. All right, so this is probably the longest part, is just letting these veggies simmer down, but it's totally worth it, and it's so easy to do. Okay, so let's see. As far as bay leaves go, any bay leaves will work. I'm kind of excited because this is the last 2 of this packet, and then I get to go buy fresh and new bay leaves, but all is good. Okay, at this time, I'm gonna go ahead and I'm going to, my chicken cube is kind of big, so I'm just going to chop it up. I'm gonna add a couple of pieces into the mix already. This is something anyone can make. So if you've got a 14, 15-year-old at home, show them how to do it once and you never have to show them again. Make sense? Okay, so we're gonna sweat this down and then we'll be adding everything else in. All right, guys, I think it's time. It's time to add everything in and then set it and forget it. So you guys can kind of see my veggies are a little translucent. In case you're wondering how those mushrooms got in there, I was putting the roasted chicken away and I was like, ooh, mushrooms. I can add mushrooms. I love mushrooms. My whole family loves mushrooms. So I chopped up a couple and threw them in there. I told you, you can add anything to you know, any kind of veggies that you like to this recipe. It's going to be great. Okay, here we go. Chicken going in the pot. The hardest part about this meal is not eating all the chicken before it goes into the pot. It was so good. Okay. Flavorful, super easy. All right, so I've got the chicken in. Kind of show you what's going on there. Everything's in there. Get ready to take a bath. All right, let's go. I've got chicken broth. The reason why we add the chicken bouillon is that the chicken broth isn't as flavorful, right? If we're going for mom or grandma's chicken noodle soup, it just doesn't, like chicken broth alone doesn't really cut it. Now, when my mom used to make chicken noodle soup, not only did she cook it with egg noodles, but she would like actually, you know, like cook, she would boil the chicken first off instead of roasting it. So she would boil a bunch of chicken. She'd also throw in some chicken hearts and gizzards. Yes, I ate that as a child. I loved it. But I just, you know, it's not the healthiest source of protein, so I can leave it out, not a problem. But every once in a while, I'll spoil myself with some chicken gizzards and hearts. And I know you're thinking, that's gross, Carissa, don't do that. All right, so all the broth is in. As you guys can see, it's kind of full. I'm gonna add 2 bay leaves, okay? And they're kind of dry. Again, we are not gonna eat these later, so if you happen to find one in your bowl, just pick it out. But we're gonna give those in there. We're gonna let them sit. We're gonna put the last of the chicken bouillon in there. We're gonna give it a stir. Oh my gosh, so good. I told you, you can't not eat it. Okay, and you could always have so much protein. You like, who cares? All right, all that's in there. We're gonna put the lid on. We're gonna turn it down, and it's just going. Its job is just gonna simmer. Okay, for the next couple of hours. It's 2:30 my time. So I've got a couple of coaching calls in the afternoon, which is why I wanted to make sure that dinner got done. That way, as soon as I'm done working, I can literally come down here, we can eat. I happen to need to run into town to get my husband his last part of his birthday gift. So I knew that tonight was going to be busy. And I don't like busy nights. I like chill nights. So I needed an easy meal, okay? And that's exactly what I created. Easy meal, just cook it. You could do it on the lunch hour. For those of you crock-pot lovers, I'm sure that this could be done too. I'm not a crock-pot fan, which is like totally weird, but even when I was in like a corporate job and had to leave and couldn't work from home, I still didn't do a lot in the crock-pot. I could never figure out crock-pots. But what I do love is my rice cooker, okay? So the rice cooker, one of the best things that I've ever bought for myself when it comes to food prep, okay? So a lot of people may be making rice, like 5-minute rice, and that's fine. That's where I started. It's just so expensive. And if you're like me, you eat a lot of rice, okay? I've tried to eliminate all those heavy pastas, not because they're not good, but because a lot of them have gluten in it, and I choose not to have gluten because of my food sensitivities. So I go towards rice a lot. Now, rice is a fabulous, like it's a fabulous ingredient to have in your house, okay? So when I'm food prepping, I food prep rice bowls a lot. When I'm making soups, I add, you know, that rice to it. You could add quinoa, you could add couscous, anything like that to this meal would be perfect. But the reason why I like to not, like, I'm going to get ready. I'm going to put this in my rice cooker. I'm going to let it set it and forget it. And again, in 2.5, 3 hours, we're all going to be eating. But what I like about not adding the rice to the soup or the noodles to the soup, because if you make noodles, those noodles soak it all up, right? Then all of a sudden the next day you go to have leftover night. You're like, where'd our juice go? Where'd all the broth go? That's the good part, right? So I like to make up the rice or the noodles and keep them separate. So that way, if I'm trying to watch my carb portion, the rice portion, not again, because carbs are bad, but because rice is also on that list of things that I shouldn't be eating as much of. But you know what? You take food sensitivities one thing at a time. And right now you're not going to take my rice from me, but I am willing to limit how much rice goes into my soup. So my daughter may put a big heaping pile. My son, my husband, they may do that. But for me, I'm going to use maybe 1/4 of a cup. I just don't need it. This is where the goodness is. This is where it feels so good on my throat and my belly. All right. So I'm going to get ready to make up that rice. In the meantime, I just kind of looked over and noticed that little bit of extra chicken juice that came from the rotisserie chicken. Add it in. Everything goes into the pot. All right, y'all. That's all I have. Let me give you one quick more peek at my soup. It's going to sit there and simmer. I'm going to set it and forget it. And dinner is going to be done in about 2 hours. And the whole house smells amazing. Love you guys. You can find the recipe for this as much as I can think of, right? Because again, I don't measure anything, but I will post the ingredients down below. And your job is to get the ingredients, buy the ingredients, and cook along with me, right? Take this video into your kitchen and cook along with me. I would love that. So if you are catching this on YouTube, please subscribe to my YouTube channel. If you are watching this in the Healthy Hustle or through my email newsletter, thank you so much for watching today's video. You are amazing. Remember that health is a choice and you can be healthy.